Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. Very sombre today, and pretty apt on wearing a brown shirt. How shit we were on Saturday. Joined by Ian, fellow Spurs fan. How you doing, Ian?
Hi, Chris. All right, yourself?
Yeah, I was good, but I'm sure this chat will bring my mood down along with
Absolutely.
both of ours. But one person who is happy, Chris, Leicester fan. How you doing, buddy?
Like you say, I'm a lot happier than I was after our game earlier in the season. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, and Brad in the chat as well. Top 10 battles. Howdy, lads. Hope you're well. I, for one, feel great. I bet
Nice one, Brad. Nice one.
Yeah, good lad,
He's
Brad.
a Leicester fan, of course.
Yeah, he was on the show on Friday doing the preview, and then I'm doing his top 10 battles on Wednesday, so make sure you check his channel out. And Mark Cousins, always in the chat. Hasn't the season finished yet? Very, very possibly, and we'll talk about that.
Just a quick question. You're doing the top 10 battles with Brad on Wednesday?
Yeah, it's a quiz.
Is it just you and Brad?
I have no idea. You'll have to ask him.
I think it is. I'm just thinking you can't come third then.
Yeah.
Sorry, look, allow it me just one.
And thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Yeah, please get your comments coming in. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Also, Leicester Till I Die TV, even though he's been very, very rude to me in the last 2 minutes, it's Chris's channel, so make sure you check that out, and top 10 battles. But we'll start. Ian, thanks, Tottenham. Thanks for ruining my weekend. Potentially ruining the season, ruining a Man City massively good win, a real benchmark to really get the season back underway. Thanks, Tottenham. We'll come to the defence and all of that nonsense later, but what happened?
I mean, I watched the game. It really came down to individual and collective errors. We go a goal up early doors, not a particularly pretty goal, not a good goal to concede, nothing particularly special to score. And you think, that's fine. Leicester are not a great side when they go a goal down. They don't hold on to leads that well. But we defended like a pub team. And that's the thing that really got me, a team that was so united, so coherent. United may be the wrong word, but so coherent against City defensively, where, they got to a point, City, where I think we could have played another hour and they wouldn't have scored.
Yeah.
Whereas there were times when, excuse me, Leicester were just cutting through us. The players were out of position and, Dier. Well, we're talking. You want to talk about Dier?
We've got to talk about him.
I'm not his biggest opponent or his biggest critic, but there are games he has where suddenly he looks like he's so hopelessly out of his depth. When we lost at Manchester United last year, that was 3-2, I think. It was a game we dominated. But there was a couple of goals where he just didn't get out and close the man down. And he did that again on Saturday. He sat back and watched. And, the third goal, which was the killer goal just before half-time, he just sits off. And the boy, and I can never pronounce his name, begins with an I. But
Iniacho.
Iniacho, yeah. Just has all the time in the world, and people are critical of Forster. But I don't know. There's a lot he can do, because when a player of his quality has the room to pick his spot in the corner, it's going to be really difficult.
Well, also you mentioned it earlier. The ball's shielded from Dier, isn't it? Just standing there. So as soon as the ball goes past Dier, the shot's off. He's got to be out very quickly. And we'll come to Dier a bit later on, because he had, like you quite rightly said, an absolute stinker. Simply Ace in the chat, always in the chats. Circus keeps rolling on. It does. Please hit the like and subscribe. Really big support of the channel. A lot of time for Simply Ace. Nick, Barry, Ranjit, whatever he's calling himself this week. We did the same last season. Beat Man City, lost to Burnley. Wayne Bonner. Good evening, all. Hope everything is well. Going to be a fun game tomorrow night. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this AC Milan. Kuva, how you doing, Kuva? Big up, sad Chris and happy Chris. Good to see Ian and Stan.
Yeah. It's a sort of private joke that's long past its sell-by date, but as long as Kuva keeps saying it, I'll keep getting revenge on him whenever I see him online.
And Chris, as bad as we were, which we were bad, you can only beat who's in front of you. If the team in front of you is playing badly, it's still up to you to beat them. You smelt blood. You then killed us off. We'll come to your star men a little bit later on, but I mean, we're not, but you must be delighted being that Brad said it on the show, on the preview on Friday, that when you go a goal down, generally you don't do anything. You went a goal down. I didn't watch the game. I was around girlfriend's parents walking the dog. Looked on the phone before we went out 1-0. I thought, okay, that's a good basis. We can hopefully grow from there. Came back from the walk half hour later, 3-1 down. But for as bad as we were, you must be delighted because you were fantastic.
Yes. I've got to say, if you were out walking the dog, did you manage to hold on to that lead? Sorry.
Chris has found a footballing joke book down the sofa where Ian has found a few quid to get himself some airtime.
Look at our season. It's been a long time coming, mate. You know, I mean, I've just been on another channel watching it, not on it, but in the chat. And the Spurs fan says that we weren't even that good. And I'm thinking,
I disagree with that.
Were you at a different match here? I mean, it was completely the opposite. You stuffed us earlier in the season, you know, but the funny thing was, in that game, a lot of Spurs fans were saying that you thought we were going to beat you in that first half.
Until Son came on, it was kind of fairly tight, and then Son completely
on Saturday,
changed the
when
game.
you went 1-0 up, I thought it was all you. I thought you deserved it. You had 3 corners on the trot. You were unlucky with one that went off Christensen's knee. But at that point, I thought, here we go again, sort of thing. I never, ever saw that coming. And it's kind of, I mean, there's a saying, isn't there? It's the things are very Spursy, but I think you were very Leicestery at times this season. If you'd have won games where you've dropped points, you would be challenging Arsenal, you know. And like you say, as fans, and it's been like this at Leicester for a while. You beat Manchester City one week, and then you go and in fairness, lose to Leicester because we've not had a good season. On paper, you look at that game and think you're gonna win it. The interesting thing was that I did say on a couple of preview shows that I was glad that Conte was back because without him, you did reasonably well.
Well, we'll come on to Conte a bit later on because I've got a feeling he's winding down his contract. The players know that. But we'll come on to him a bit later on because there's something not right at Tottenham in terms of that.
Again.
Nick in the chat. Perisic should have worn that one in the face. I'm not sure which goal that was. All of them stepping away, hands behind the back. What happened to the good old days of closing the man down, wearing one?
I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
Maybe I'm not sure what Simply Ace is referring to. Maybe when you're on the other Spurs channel. Bit harsh on Leicester when we can't hold on to leads either. And Brad again, to be fair, it's just nice to be in the right end of a thrashing this season. I mean, it should have been 5. How that one was chalked off for offside is ridiculous.
Yeah, didn't look it, did it?
Yeah,
can I come in on Nick's point? Because I think he's absolutely right. And I think you see this now with defenders standing off the attackers or sitting off the attackers. I'm trying to do it, but their arms behind their backs because they don't want to concede a penalty. I mean, that's what the modern handball rule has done to proper defending. It's killed it. Where you would wear one, you would fly out at the player, and on the basis that if it hit you on the arm without movement of the hand to the ball, it was never never a penalty. Whereas now, of course, if you go out, you make your body bigger in any shape or form. Apart from, of course, if you're a West Ham defender on Saturday afternoon. But beyond that, if you get hit on the arm with the ball, it's going to be a penalty. So now they sit off, and I don't recognise it as defending, but I'm old enough to be your dad, Chris. So that's
not me.
You're wearing a hat to disguise how old you are, Chris. That's
I know. I've got
Leicester Chris rather than Tottenham Chris.
Can I just come on that point as well? Because I don't know if it's the goal he's referring to, but the Mendy goal when he, I mean,
it might have been actually because he's on the left, but I thought it was Davies nearer him. To be fair,
I don't know on the Mendy goal when he came in, it was headed clear. He came in, he put his laces through it, and like you say, I don't know which Tottenham defender it was. I'd say it was the bad one, but but he put his hands behind his back, like you say.
It must have been Perisic because Nick has said he's referring to Mendy's goal. But I have to admit, I thought that was
like that. I mean, you're a defender. You paid. I get the hands behind the back for the penalty thing, but don't bend over. Don't, that's the biggest part of your body. Don't turn to the side, which a lot of defenders do. Don't bend over because I don't know whether the man, got in the way and you might have ended up in the net as well because it was hit so well. But you've got to stay. You're a defender, like Ian said. Put your body on the line.
You'd think that Davies and Perisic, if it was because it was one of the two, would have done, old school defenders. But Kuva prefer not to call them defenders at Spurs. I favour the term random event administrators. Which brings us on, Ian.
Yeah,
we might as well.
Dier. Well,
I mean, he's living really up to his name, isn't he? Because he was absolute Dier, and I don't mind the standing off, and but there's a time where you've got to stop standing off. So at the Iniacho's goal, stand off, fine. Try and force him to play it wide or backwards or whatever. But as soon as he isn't, and you can see he's going to have a shot, at some point you have to engage. At some point, if he skins you,
he skins
all right, you. Well, Dier's going to get criticised anyway, isn't he? But at least then, if he skins you, you've tried to put a tackle in and tried to do something. And like we said earlier, he's shielding the ball from Forster, and Forster's got, if that shot has any kind of pace in it, which it did, he's got very, very, very little time to react. And it was about 2 goals that Dier did this for. The positional sense was all over the place. We'll come to Porro a bit later on because he had a stinker as well. But Dier just. We say about Lloris, don't we? Lloris saves us so many times, but then he has stinkers. So you can't keep saying he saves us so many times. Dier has good games every now and then, but then he has stinkers all the time as well. And I mean, he isn't good enough. But
Chris, Dier was fantastic against City.
Yeah.
I mean, he, Davis, and Emerson were all exceptional. And then they put forward, forget about Emerson, because, and that I think is another point about the team we put out.
Yeah.
I mean, why did he play Tanganga and not Sanchez? I know there'll be people in the chat and going, well, they're both as bad as each other. But in fairness, Sanchez is actually a pretty solid defender. It's his brain fart moments that do me, where he just suddenly has 5 minutes where he just looks like Bambi on ice. But, when you look at those 3 games last season at the end when Romero got injured, Sanchez came in and was exceptional. He played brilliantly, didn't put a foot wrong. And then you had Davis and Emerson. But, I mean, he played Porro as a debutant on that right-hand side.
Yeah.
And he played Tanganga inside it. And you're going, when you look back at it, you think, that was stupid. But what annoyed me more than anything was at 3-1, even at half-time, there was maybe a chance to say, look, this isn't working. I need to change it. The ball was also Kulusevski and Son couldn't get into the game at all. So there was a real, for me, you say, this isn't working. I've got to change it. And he didn't start making changes. And even they were pretty well irrelevant until it was 75 minutes gone.
Yeah, so, couple of comments from Brad. We'll definitely come to this a bit later on because I've got thoughts about him. I'm sure you do, Ian. Conte has not looked keen on being at Spurs since he took the job, in my opinion. We'll come on to him a bit later on. And Brad, it's not got that bad yet. We'll give you Vestergaard as a sorry present if you want. It's not got that bird yet. And you also said Dier is like Von Seal and Wayne Bonner. Who's Von Seal? Is he available to play tomorrow? and simply Ace, Dier is always out of position, runs away from the opposition to cost us, along with Davies. So many points over the years, so many brain fire moments. Although he would take Vestergaard anyone over Dier. But Chris, One terrible defender to one who had kept, in my opinion, the best striker in the game completely quiet. Harry Suter,
yeah.
And you've got a new defensive partnership potentially. You had a good partnership. I apologise, I can't remember the name of the other defender.
Amati. And we've had Amati. We had Soyuncu, the Turkish guy, who for some reason upset Brendan, can't get in.
Yeah. But first game together, those two, they looked really good. Obviously, early days, first game together. But for you, must be elements of something positive here and something that you can build upon.
It's a bit scary because, you can never trust Leicester to do what you think they're going to do. I mean, we had a summer window where we couldn't buy anybody, for FFP reasons. We then had a January window where we needed 3 positions to be filled, and we filled all 3 of those positions. If you look at that defence, as it stood on Saturday, has only been together for 2 games. Wout Faes has only been with us since the start of the season, but it just seems to have clicked. Now, this could be Leicester. We could go to Man United and get beaten 5-0. That's the sort of thing Leicester do. But I've got to be honest with you. Yes, I'm excited. And Christensen he was unlucky. He went to kick the ball out and it didn't. It spun off his foot. And your guy only had to just stick his boot out. Last season on his home debut, Premier League debut, club debut, he scored an own goal. But he reminds me of so much of Harry Maguire. And this is the Harry Maguire that we had, not the Harry Maguire that the Man United wound down. But I mean, yes, it's. We've had a bad start to the season. Look at that. I mean, 6-2 in the firm. And that was Wout Faes' first game, was the 6-2 we lost to you. And he still got man of the match. So that's how bad we were. It was also the first game of our set piece coach. It looks like it's all coming together. And am I pleased with the defensive back line as it now stands? 100%. And on top of all that, we've got Ricardo coming back, because he came on for a few minutes at the end. But was Kane actually on the pitch on Saturday? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, he was. He just couldn't get into the game at all, could he? No, whether that's Suter playing really well against him. One of the goals came from, didn't it? A crunching tackle on Kane from Suter. I think that might have been the second one. And then God knows where our defenders were, because they weren't in position. And then you had 2. I think it was Maddison's goal. I think it was Maddison's goal.
Yes, it was. But I think it was Faes, actually. Harry Kane just seemed to be waiting for it to come to him. Faes came in another game. It could have been a foul, but he came in.
I think that shows our attitude for that game, though, just waiting for it to happen rather than making it happen.
Do you think you were, and we all accuse our teams of this sometimes, but do you think you were maybe thinking, this is only Leicester, look how we beat them 6-2 last time out?
Possibly. We've had history of it in the past. That was my most pleasing moment. Again, thing about Preston, it looked like we took them seriously and then got a comfortable win. I think
our players were probably thinking it doesn't matter. Even if we're losing in the 96th minute, we'll still win.
Sorry, Chris. No. I'll give you that one.
Don't say sorry, and it's still 2-1 to him.
No, can I say something though on that? I must say, Leicester, Chris. I live in Scotland, and I watch my Scottish football when I go at Celtic. And Brendan was there and did a really good job for 3 years or so. Had the same situation at Liverpool, and the wheels started to come off. And I actually thought, here we go again. It's Brendan Rodgers, 3-year syndrome. It's all going down. He'll be out of a job by Christmas. Not only is he not out of a job, but he's got that team playing really well. And defensively, his teams aren't always as solid as they might be. They're just usually good going forward. But you were absolutely rock solid.
Everybody said with Brendan, it's third season syndrome. And last season we struggled. And I said, look, let's see how we get on this season. And I'm not going to lie, 2 months into the season, because I'm a correspondent for the BBC on Tuesdays, and I write and I said, Brendan Rodgers, get out of my club. I just wanted him gone. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But none of us knew what had gone on. And he couldn't sign any play. He was still talking to players, and the chairman knew they couldn't buy anybody. So I think the chairman let him down a bit there. But because of that, he stuck by him. And he's given him a bit of a rebuild that he said he needed. There was 3 positions that he wanted to fill. We filled those 3 positions. We had a good defence, but as Brad calls him, the French Voldemort decided to bugger off to Chelsea. And that completely sort of, made a mess of things for us. I've built a gate into my fence because I can't decide which side I'm on. But let's see how we do for the rest. If Brendan gets us into the top 10 this season, with everything that's gone on, his lack of backing, which the chairman's come out and said, I couldn't back him, and that's why he's not got rid of him, because he didn't feel it was fair, because it was kind of his fault as well. It's funny though, isn't it? We try and stick by FFP rules, and Manchester City don't. Anyway, that's a story for another day.
Chris, one other thing to add to what you've said is I would be surprised if the Vardy-Rooney court case wasn't poisonous in the Leicester dressing room. I know Jamie Vardy's not playing as much, but I would have thought, hang on a minute, is this, this man's, he's leaked stuff, his missus has gone selling it to the Sun. I really don't want him around the place. I would think that would be pretty toxic in a dressing room.
Do you know what? It was coined when that's the season we won the league that we're a band of brothers, and we've been saying all the things you have been saying about Conte. Has Brendan lost the dressing room? Are the players not playing for him? We think that he didn't, and they are. Everybody is very close. To be honest with you, I don't think Brendan would have allowed it to be in the dressing room. I don't think he would have allowed it to affect. I think he's a good coach and he's a good manager. I think, like most Leicester fans, we just looked at it and said, that's just Rebecca. And I think Jamie had to go along because he had to be seen to back his wife. Now, if you ask a lot of Leicester fans, none of us are particularly keen on her, but it is what it is. But we just kind of just ignored it, to be honest with you. And in a way, because every time the fans were going, so even last season, Jamie Vardy, your missus is the grass, he went on and scored. He loves a bit of, of banter with the away fans. But it could have affected it. You got a fair point there.
So I think Leicester have done very well, and it's a nice club. I mean, I know you beat us to the league in 2016, but it's always been a nice, friendly provincial club, Leicester.
I mean, because before that season, there's no real rivalry there, was there?
No.
You were Spurs and we were Spurs, and I got to be honest with you, I quite like Spurs. I've got nothing against them at all, and we have banter, but there's clubs that for whatever reason, you don't like, and the majority of Spurs fans, including you two guys, are very nice. It's those that are sort of we're Spurs, so we should be doing this. Why?
You've got to earn those. You've got to earn those things. Yeah. It's not given to you. You've got to earn it all.
No, I have nothing against Tottenham per se. I like them, and if you were to win the league this season, I'd be very happy for you because it's somebody different.
Yeah, well, that would be in an alternate universe if we won the league this season. We won another game.
But Ian, there's many white coats knocking at your door as we speak, Chris.
But Ian, the game was bad, and then it was compounded even more. Out for the season, Bentancur. I mean, Simply Ace said it in the chat. Bentancur out for 6 to 8 months. We are screwed. And for me, I think the season's pretty much over. We'll come to Maddison a bit later on. Bentancur injured. We're crying out for some creativity. He's seemingly the only one. He's the only one who can keep the ball and pass it down. God knows how we're going to keep the ball and get any creativity in that midfield now without him. I didn't see what happened. Match of the Day didn't show it. but ACLs, I think it's the ACL, isn't it? But 6 months out, potentially 8, like Simply Ace says. And is our season over now? Is he that important to us, or can we still do something this season? And you watched the game. What actually
I
happened
watched the game. There was nothing. It was innocuous. Unfortunately, some of the worst injuries I've seen in football have been on completely innocuous incidents. I don't even think there was a foul involved, was there? But as soon as he did it, my good lady was watching it with me, and I said, "That's cruciate ligament's gone." And he actually, they brought on a stretcher for him, and then he sort of, "I'm all right," and he can walk off, and you're actually thinking, "Oh, maybe it's not that bad." Because when he went down and put his arm in the air. Yeah. You know, that's sign that a player is, properly hurt.
I'm just saying here, it was a collision with Mendy, is what they said.
But it was nothing. It was innocuous.
No, it wasn't a foul.
Yeah, there was no foul or anything. No. And then he got up and he walked off, and you think, oh, he's going to be okay. But no, I'm not surprised he'd done his ligaments. Excuse me.
He was your best player. I'll come in and save Ian.
He's been our best player for quite a while since he turned up last January. And for me, he's crucial to our midfield. And without him, I mean, we haven't got Højbjerg for Milan because he's suspended. So it's Skip, Sarr, we're so light in that.
And we got no Bissouma now. If we say we're light, which we are, the thing that annoys me about Conte is he plays this rigid 3-4-3, regardless of circumstances, regardless of personnel, when it may be actually there's a time now to play a 4-2-3-1 even, particularly in Milan, and just go and try and hold them. At least we'll have Højbjerg back. But, we've suddenly got the most enormous injury crisis, all long term. It's not as if someone's got a bruised toe and is out for 10 days. We've got Lloris long term, Sessegnon long term, Bentancur long term, Bissouma long term. I've probably forgotten 6 or 7.
Richarlison, I thought, was long term, but he's been on the bench, so thankfully he's back. But yeah,
and he won't give him a game. Son is not at it. There's you pay 6. People talk about, we haven't spent on the defence, I've got to work on the basis that they're signing players, Parisici's signing players that Conte wants. Now, he's gone out and spent 60 million quid on Richarlison, and he can't get a game, whereas we needed defenders, better defenders, and we didn't get them. So there's a lot of blame through the club. What was interesting, you go on social media, when we beat Manchester City, no one says a word. Get gubbed by Leicester, and suddenly it's all Levy's fault. I never quite worked that out, but the reality is the players that have been bought would have been bought with a say-so of, apart from Spence. And my view on Conte there is not repeatable, but apart from Spence, these would have all have been signings approved by Conte.
Yeah. Simply A says he needs to be questioned big time, and he definitely does, in my opinion. We'll come back to him. But, Chris, Maddison, absolutely superb. I'm a big fan of Maddison. And when he plays well, you look a different team. He's had his injury issues this year, which obviously doesn't help you. But him, Iheanacho, tore us to shreds. You can say what you want about the defending, but they were a constant thorn in our side. Harvey Barnes, who I'm a fan of as well. So those three... he got 1 goal, Harvey Barnes. Should have been 2 because that should never have been offside.
Yeah.
But, a couple of questions here. So how important is Maddison to you? And do you think he'll be going in the summer? Speaking to Brad on Friday, he thinks he might sign a new contract. But what do you think about him? And how important is he to you?
We live in hope that he will. What you've been saying about Bentancur being so important to yourself, Maddison is to us. We were last season, we were the same as you with injuries, and people were getting reoccurring injuries because they were being brought back too soon because we hadn't got enough players fit. And he was having to be played on the right-hand side because we've never really replaced Mahrez, if truth be known, not permanently. And he is his main strength is to play in the centre, because that way he can just go wherever he wants, as long as he's got somebody covering him, and he got his goal from the left-hand side, and he's amazing. And this is now where it's going to be very much where the board have got to get this right, because we're losing Tielemans in the summer. And we're not going to get a penny for him because he's run his contract down. But that's another story. Don't get me on that one. I'm hoping that Maddison will do what Maguire did, which was basically Maguire came to the club, to the board, and said, "Look, Man United want me. They are my team. I would like to go, but you sort of dragged me up from Hull when we got relegated. I don't want you to lose out. I'll sign a new contract, but I'm going to put a load of conditions in it, like I can talk to this club about if certain things are met." And that's why we could, ask £80 million for him, because he hadn't just got that 1 year left. I'm hoping Maddison will do the same. I think if we lose Tielemans and Maddison in the same summer, that could really, really rock us. We will lose Maddison eventually. Let's not bit high. Put our head in the sand about this. He will go. There's a club structure, isn't there? The bird at the top sits on the bird underneath. On the next perch down, sits on the same one. We got him from Norwich. He will eventually go on to a more. I hate saying bigger clubs, but you know what I mean. But a club that was probably going to be in Europe regularly, etc., or even abroad.
Well, Newcastle's the big one, isn't it, at the moment? We're linked, but I mean, you might as well be going for, I don't know. We ain't going to get him. If Newcastle bid for him, they're going to bid 60 million. We ain't going to bid 60 million.
Well, they said they came in for him before, and they actually wanted him on a buy now, pay later basis.
Oh, okay.
In the fact that they didn't even want to pay anything for him up front, which was why we told them politely to sort of, go away. Yes, they'll come. Other clubs are also allegedly interested. Man City, Arsenal. So he's got 1 season left on his contract, so it might start a bidding war, which will obviously pump the price up as well.
In terms of Man City, I think he's a bit like Harry Kane, not for the money. I don't think he'll go to City because he knows he might get some games, but not that much. Newcastle, he'll be one of the faces of Newcastle, or he'll play every game. So I don't think he'll go to Man
I don't
City.
think he'll go to, and I think if he goes to anywhere at the moment, it will be Newcastle.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Newcastle, you talk about this buy now, pay later thing, is I gather that, and I say, sometimes I say, I've heard, I've read, but they don't seem to be going out and spending money, like kiddies in a sweetie shop.
No.
The word is that they've been told that City are under severe investigation. And if you go blowing, you start doing the same thing. We'll investigate you too. We can't keep. I think the Premier League are sort of wised up to the fact that they just can't keep allowing clubs to ride roughshod over the FFP rules. So we'll see. But I mean, Eddie Howe, what a job he's done. I mean, I look at that squad on paper and say it's a good squad, but it's not an exceptional squad.
No.
But to be fair,
they're in possible danger of throwing it away because they've drawn more than they've won in the league. They? So a couple of bad results. But I think if they get Champions League, that's extra money. So they'll just go to Leicester. What's your price for Maddison? We'll pay.
The irony is we can still catch them. Over the last 2 or 3 games, we've actually made up points on them. We may need to go to St James's Park and beat them, but the reality is if we can put a few games together, and the injury crisis is obviously an absolute blow. But
I think Newcastle have still got a game in hand over you, haven't they?
They have.
With Newcastle, if you speak to sort of, let's say proper fans of Newcastle, they will say to you, well, this is better than we could have hoped for this season. It's okay having extremely rich owners, but it's spending that money in the right way. I mean, look at Everton. I mean, you know, they've got rich owners and they'll splash the money out, and look where they are. So Newcastle are doing it. It's nice to see, very, very sensibly. And they are, you know, they said this season we just want to improve. The next season maybe get into Europe. So they are doing it sensibly. Look, you know, if they get Maddison, we paid 20-odd million, 25 million for him. If we sell him for 60, it's a nice profit. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you'll at least double your money on Maddison. I can't see him going for less than 50.
Yeah.
But Ian, Maddison, will he stay? Won't he go? Harry Kane, will he stay? Won't he go? I think it's a real big summer for us and a real big. Levy has said he's not selling to any Premiership rivals. And if he doesn't and Kane's desperate to go, he won't sign a contract and then we lose him for free.
Nothing.
Yeah, because Daniel Levy isn't going to allow a Harry Maguire situation, I don't think. Here's my contract signed, but here's a load of my conditions to get out. Levy wants to be in control of that.
I'm not 100%.
What do you see happening with Harry?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Kane will leave. His options will. I think he would have gone. Obviously, 2 years. Was it 2 seasons ago now? A year and a half ago.
Yeah,
he'd have gone to Manchester City. He would have gone there. If
they'd have put in
Levy
a proper bid, they bid in 70-odd million, an insult, really.
We're not taking it, but of course now he's going to be 2 years older. I don't know that he would do a Judas and go to Chelsea or Arsenal.
I think there's zero chance of him going to Chelsea just because he's still. I think the reason he's still here is he wants to be a Spurs legend. He's a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
If he wasn't a Spurs fan, he'd have said, "Sod off, I'm leaving. I don't care." I think going to Chelsea ruins any kind of Tottenham legacy he has.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. No, I agree. Would he go to Manchester United? Maybe.
I think they'll put a bid in the summer.
Well, I think they could use him. I mean, the one position
they're crying out for strike.
You know, a main centre forward. I mean, the guy Weghorst is. I mean, cart horse more like. I mean, he doesn't look like a Premier League centre forward. But Rashford is absolutely on fire.
Rashford's a son, isn't he? He's not a striker. He's a wide player that can have a bit of a license to
roam.
Yeah. He's not a striker. Kane is a striker. They're crying out for someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But look how he would bring players like Rashford and Sancho in, you know.
Can I ask a question of you? Because I was on the Spurs channel last night, as you're talking about Harry Kane, and it came up as to who will be remembered the most when they've retired, Harry Kane or Jamie Vardy. Now, I must admit, the Tottenham fan obviously went for Kane, and I wouldn't have expected him not to.
Yeah.
But when I say remembered more, I don't mean remembered more by fans of their own club. I mean, you know,
I get what you mean, because Vardy's won the Premier League. That holds more standing. Harry Kane's achievement with the record is basically for Tottenham fans.
Yeah.
If he gets Shearer's record, that obviously opens it up to Premier League and England fans.
Yeah, but
it's an
he's
interesting
never won
point,
anything
isn't
with
it?
England. You know, Vardy has won. Or let's look at his. I think with Vardy, it's his backstory. Look where he's come from late in his career. No other player has played in every single round, including qualifying of the FA Cup. He's played from 1 right up to 100.
Yeah,
you know, he's won the Premier, the FA Cup, the Community Shield. He ended up playing for England, but he also got obviously 11 in 11 in one season. And to me, I was to say, Kane for me is one of those players. I hate him when he's for Tottenham because he always normally scores against us, and that was a surprise. Love him when he puts an England shirt on. It's one of those situations. But I just wondered what whether you think that Kane. I mean, even if he does beat Alan Shearer's record, when you look at his trophy cabinet. And I'm not having a dig here at anything, but will he be remembered that well?
Yeah,
what did Shearer win?
It's a really interesting question.
Chris, what did Shearer win?
He won a league, didn't he?
One league,
yeah.
One league with Blackburn. Yeah. He won nothing at Newcastle when he went back
nothing anywhere else. In fairness, Southampton either. So I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah. Simply a few comments. Last one on Vardy. With our performances, we've zero chance of top 4, and Harry Kane needs to leave, and good luck to him. We have the ambition of losers. Not sure he's going to be allowed to leave. I can see Levy saying Man United 100 million, Bayern Munich 60 million, 50 million, but he doesn't want to go to Bayern Munich. He wants to stay in the Premier League and get that record, I think. Vardy's world-class striker, no doubt one of the best in the Premier League. But Ian, Conte.
Yeah.
This is my question, and I think the answer to this is yes. Is Conte just counting his time down? I think he leaves at the end of the season for nothing because his contract is up. Pochettino's a free agent. He comes in. Levy pays nothing in compensation. Nothing in compensation for manager out and a manager in. Conte, Stellini was in charge against Man City. We looked a different team. We looked really involved. We looked really up for it. We looked like a team. Conte comes back. Seemingly don't want to know, all over the place. I think Conte wants to go and he's leaving at the end of the season. The players know it, and that would suggest why there was no real business in the January window. As much as people have a go at Levy, if your manager says I'm leaving in 6 months, you're not suddenly going to give him 200 million to spend because it's going to be for someone else essentially. So what do you? And his tactics as well, his rigidness, the whole Spence thing. Yeah, it wasn't his signing, but we got Emerson who couldn't cross a road. He doesn't play Spence at all. It's just too stubborn. That, like you said, with the midfield, it has to be the 3 in the midfield, even when personnel and types of personnel don't work in that system. Son needs to be dropped. We saw what he did against Leicester when he was dropped. Angry, comes on, scores a hat-trick. Make him angry again. You've got to, and he's dropped Lloris, but via forced to because he's injured. He wouldn't drop him before. You've got to have a situation in a club and an attitude in a club that if you're not playing well, regardless of who you are, you don't play, fair and simple. If you play well, train well, take your chances, doesn't matter if you're not the best player in the world, you start. And for me, his rigidness, his stubbornness doesn't help at all. He's a world-class manager, don't get me wrong. He's a world-class manager when he has the players at his disposal that he needs. Tottenham, he hasn't, and he's just too stubborn this season and too negative. Stellini, put him in charge to the end of the season, then get Poch back. We won't win anything, but at least I'll be entertaining. He'll bring some youth through Alfie Devine. But what do you make of Conte this season? And do you think his time is numbered?
I've not been impressed. I really thought I was disappointed. I really thought we would kick on after the end that we had to last season. Hi, Chris. That's 3
Chris
Chris's.
in the chat. How you doing?
Hey, it's got us like Monty Python. This, Bruce, Sheila, Bruce. So you just call me Chris, yeah. Or in fact, in this day and age, call me Christine. But no, I mean, I'm inclined to agree that he's just counting the time down. I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't use his illness to say, no, I need to rest, so we'll just call it a day there. Yeah. Might have been interesting to see how Stellini did, because the players were definitely up for it. And that the way he moved Dier into midfield to cut the space, which I think they tried to do a little bit.
It was positive, wasn't it? Conte is negative. Stellini is positive. You hear it on Match of the Day and all of this stuff all the time from ex-players. If you're positive and going forward, the players like that. If they're so defensive, unless you're winning every single game 1-0, the players don't really care. So I think they enjoyed training and playing under Stellini because they had a bit of a freer reign, whereas Conte is too rigid, too stubborn. And I don't think the players enjoy it. And I think they know he's out. And
that might be right. Although I'm going to throw a name in because everybody just assumes it's going to be Pochettino. I actually would like to see Stellini do it till the end of the season. And if he actually does well, let's give him the job. Thomas Frank is the manager I'd like to see at Tottenham.
But would he leave Brentford?
I think with any manager,
in terms of stature, Tottenham is a much, much bigger club than Brentford. In terms of where they are in the league, it's probably not a huge amount of difference. And he's got a job for life at Brentford, I think, unless they end up getting 2 points out of 38 games in a season. But I agree with you. He's a fantastic manager. I picked them to go straight back down this season, and he's done a brilliant.
No, I never thought that for a minute they were going to go down. I watched them a bit in the Championship. And I said at the beginning of last season, there's no way in the world they'll go down. They're far too good. And I got proved right then. That's only at the weekends for Christine, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, another manager, that would go to Tottenham, I think, is Brendan Rodgers. Not saying I want him.
He was linked with us before, wasn't he? Before the merry-go-round
been linked several times, yeah.
Nuno. I just think if Conte leaves, there'll be regardless of whether he's fired, whether he leaves of his own accord, end of the season, whatever, there'll be a lot of people who don't like Levy who will then blame him for that. There's a lot of people who don't like Levy who can't criticise Conte. I don't agree with that, but people are allowed their own opinions, and that's absolutely fine. But I think Conte going, a lot of people will be having an even bigger go at Levy. Stem that pressure, appease the fans, get a fan favourite in. It's too early for Poch to come back. Still the same owner, still half the players. Unless he's guaranteed to get that rebuild he asked for 4 years ago, it's too early for him. But and Levy pays nothing in compensation. And I think it's a no-brainer. And I said when Conte came in 18 months ago, or 18 months at the end of this season, Poch will be in within 18 months. And I'll have nothing else to shout about being a Spurs fan, but I'll be shouting from the rooftops that I was right when everyone laughed at me when Poch comes back, when Conte leaves. Yeah. But that's all I can see happening. Chris, what do you see happening with this? I know you're not a Spurs fan, you're looking from the outside, but interesting to get a view from the outside in of what's happening with our manager situation.
First of all, on the Brendan Rodgers thing, and I'm not going to say it will never happen, but it's funny, isn't it? Like when we were finishing 5th for 2 seasons, winning the FA Cup, we was being linked with every club going. Last couple of seasons, because we've been struggling, no, he hasn't. Would he leave a club like Leicester where he's got that relationship with the owner? I mean, if you saw the FA Cup, you probably didn't watch it, but at the end, the owner was on the pitch,
didn't he?
Hugging. Could you see him being like that with Levy? The thing is,
Levy came on in the Champions League semi-final onto the pitch.
Did he?
Yeah.
Probably to get. I obviously didn't see that, but I don't know whether any of your managers would ever have that relationship that Top has got with that Brendan has with Top at Leicester. No. That said, stranger things happen. Look at Potter going to Chelsea.
Yeah,
he's probably
that's another stature thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Brighton are better than Chelsea at the moment, but in terms of stature, Chelsea are far
exactly. But he couldn't turn it down because he doesn't know when that sort of an offer of a club with that sort of stature will come along.
Yeah.
I thought Conte was going to. I had just checking then. I had you down for finishing 3rd this season. That was at the start of the season. I don't think you will now. Your only possibility is the fact that Newcastle are dropping points. You were, and I don't mean this horribly, but you were a joke at the at the start of the season. You ended up with something like your 29th choice to be manager. Yeah. Everybody was turning you down. It must have been embarrassing being a Spurs fan.
It was more than embarrassing, especially when we get Levy saying we're going back to our roots of attacking football.
And then getting Nuno and then Conte.
Conte turned you down, obviously, I believe, at the start. Then he came along, and I said, last season, I said, what a good signing that is, because I thought he's the guy that will actually finally stand up to Levy and demand and have it done his way. And you've got to let the manager do his job. I'm surprised how it's gone, but I think, and I said this to other Tottenham fans yesterday on the Tottenham channel, that it's almost like a bit of a jigsaw. Getting rid of Levy will not cure your problems. Getting rid of Conte will not solve your problems. Holding on to Kane will not solve your problems. You want those 3 things that will fit in nicely together. And it may be that Conte has to go. It may be that Levy has to go. Maybe you've got to let Kane go and stop relying on him so much and then build your team around another player, whether that's one you've got or one you bring in. The worry is if you get rid of Conte, for me, who are you going to actually replace him with? He's a winner. We know that. I thought Mourinho, when he left you, I thought he'd shot his load and that was it. And then he goes to Roma and carries on winning things.
Well, why we brought in Mourinho is a question in itself. You bring in Mourinho to win a trophy because he's a winner, and the first chance he gets, you fire him. So it's it was a complete waste of time even bringing him in. It was just because Levy loved Mourinho, and it was just his.
All I will say is with Conte, look, like I said, 8 games into the season, I wanted Rodgers out of the club, and look at it now. He's going to be there till the end of the season. Surely, there's no point in changing him now.
I think so.
And take into account injuries because it will affect you. But my worry would be is who would you get to come in? And although money talks, you've got to think the club has got that. Do I want to work with Levy? Question mark hanging over the head.
Yeah, money talks, but simply Ace, Conte out. He does nothing to try and change a game until it's too late. This has been going on the whole season. Far too stubborn, keeps playing out of form players, which takes the biscuit.
Goes back to what we were saying earlier, Chris. Absolutely.
Thomas Frank, a great choice. And Scott M, how you doing, buddy? People can criticise Conte, just wish it was legit criticism. Most, if not all, of the criticisms are complete garbage. Players are the problem. New manager fixes nothing. And when he goes, we're dropping into the bottom half of the table. A massive downgrade. I think attacking football, we'll get an attacking manager. If Poch came in, for example, we wouldn't go down to the bottom. But, we'd still got that crap players. But the criticism, if too stubborn, refusing to play players, refusing to drop players who just aren't performing. And Son is poor and he's been world class. But Richarlison kept Everton up pretty much single-handedly last season. So you stick him in. But
it's harder to get out of that Tottenham team than it is to get in it. That's the problem. That's the real problem.
I'm writing that down. Can I pinch that, please?
No, that's okay. It's a line I borrowed. It was said of the England cricket team once that when players were out of form, didn't matter how bad their form was, you say to a batsman, are you out of form? Well, I don't know. I've not been in long enough to find out.
But we were saying the same about Rodgers. I think Rob Tanner at the Athletic said Rodgers has not got a small squad because obviously every club's got the same size squad. What he's got is a small group of players he trusts.
Yeah, I think Conte has the same. I don't think he trusts certain players.
Yeah.
He never changes the formation, never changes the tactics. As I say, half time, all right, it was 3-1. Game was probably over, but it wasn't necessarily. No. As I say, I'd have made 3 changes at half time, and that would have included taking Porro off, Tanganga off, and Son off, and bringing on Sanchez, Emerson, because Harvey Barnes was running absolute riot down their left-hand side, and bringing on Richarlison and giving him 45 minutes rather than these 10 bloody minute cameos. And in fact, even Kulusevski's not really been informed since his injury. Could have bringing on Danjuma, and given him a run because we were 3-1 down. The game was off.
We were saying the same about Kelechi Iheanacho. Is that don't give him just 10 minutes here, don't give him just 10 minutes there. He's had two full 9, well, not full 90 minutes, but he's been the main striker for 2 games. He's got 2 goals, I think it's 3 assists. And suddenly, these players, if they get 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, they don't have time to settle into the game, let alone make an impression.
Yeah, I mean, Scott M here. Problem is we don't have players coming. No quality to come in for Son, even if you think he's playing poorly. And those players are awful players. How does that help us? With Son, Scott, I know 40 games this season. He scored in 3 of them.
How's Richarlison an awful player?
Yeah, I think he scored in 3 out of maybe 30, 40 games, Son. You try someone else. You don't stick with someone who's doing that, in my opinion, anyway. You give Richarlison a go. You give Danjuma a go. If they don't play well, what have you lost? You haven't lost anything because you've replaced one player who's not playing well with another one who's not playing well. You've got to change something.
Forget football. In any workplace, if what you're doing isn't working, you change it.
Yeah.
Any workplace. Football doesn't exist in this bubble. Change something. Yeah. That's what annoyed me. We came out and we played with the same players who were failing. I mean, we haven't talked about Porro. And if you didn't
yes, he's on my list. Yes. Let's talk about where is he? This is him being sent for a cup of tea by Harvey Barnes, even though Harvey Barnes hasn't got the ball. He ended up winning that ball. But Porro, he wasn't much better. I didn't see the game. Tim Sherwood went absolutely mad on Soccer Saturday, attacking fullback. And Maddison's goal was him completely out of position when the ball broke. I think it was Suto, tackling Kane. All of a sudden, Porro nowhere, and Maddison's essentially got free run of that side. But I don't know about you, Ian. I would have played Emerson because he's better defensive. And then we've got a home game against West Ham, struggling West Ham. Stick your new player in a home game. I think it was an error putting Porro in.
I totally agree. Should have stuck with Emerson. Should have put Sanchez in.
Scott, how many goals has Richarlison scored? It's very difficult to score goals if you're not playing. Mediocre at Everton for 6 years. He's a bad player. He single-handedly kept them up last year.
Hang on. Is this the same Richarlison I saw looking at a world beater in the World Cup, or are we talking about was that his brother?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. But
okay.
Move on. Opinion, absolutely fine. But
Porro was appalling. I mean, he was utterly appalling.
Is that first game in? Doesn't know the system, or just he's not very good?
Trying to win balls he couldn't win. Do you know it was like one of those Billy's Boots moments, like he'd never seen a football. Whether he was trying too hard, got overexcited, or what. He didn't offer anything going forward, but then again, nobody did. But his defensive work was abysmal.
Yeah.
His positioning was all wrong. He missed tackles. I mean, he was awful. I mean, absolutely awful. All you can say is, as the song says, things can only get better. But it was one of the worst debuts ever.
Yeah, I mean it's odd, isn't it? We've been calling for someone to replace Emerson, and now he comes in, and it's like it's 10 times worse. But Chris, back to Leicester. I know you've got to go and do your show in a bit, but before you go, I mean, speaking of Brad on Friday, and this was included in one of them, tough games for Leicester. I think you had us, Man United, and Arsenal. I'm not sure which order those are in, but
Man United,
yeah. Out of 9 points, you've already got 3. He was saying 4 points would be good. You're well on your way to that. But you, with Maddison playing like that, Iniacho playing like that, if that defensive partnership still stays strong, you can get something out of Man United. You can get something out of Arsenal.
Yes, I think we can. I think we can possibly even get something out of Arsenal, and they stuck 5 past us earlier in the season. This is a revitalised Leicester. Now, I don't know how long it's going to go on for, because this is Leicester. Man United could end up putting 5 past us again. But I was absolutely... And I looked at our run of games after the end of the transfer window. I thought Villa is the one we could possibly win. We haven't beaten any team, Villa or upwards, all season, and now we've beaten 2. So I'm not scared of Man United, and that's not me being flippant.
No.
But I was scared of playing, Tottenham. Because
Leeds had chances against Man United. They just didn't have anyone in the box. You've got Iniacho, proven goal scorer. If he gets the chances, it's probably going to be a different story.
Can I just say, and also just to go back to Porro, give him a chance. He's saying how good our defensive partnership is now. But Valfade's first game was when we played you and you put 6 past us.
Well, he'll get a chance. He'll come good, but it's just his performance on. I mean, everybody raves about this boy, so I'm sure he'll come good. Although
I think you will. And you've got to accept as well, Barnes has not been playing that well because we've relied so much on him. Suddenly, we've got Tete on the right.
Yeah.
And that releases Barnes a little bit more. Plus, we've got Maddison in the middle where he was stuck on the right before, so he can help out. You're quite right. He had the freedom of the King Power with his goal, Maddison. I don't know where your defenders were for that
was Porro trying to be attacking. Yeah. I think, like Ian said, trying too hard. I think he was trying to make an impression and just maybe over exuberance.
But no, I'm not, I'm not going to say we're going to get another 6 points off those 2 games, but I'm not as worried going into them as I would have been, 3 or 4 games ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I am going to have to go, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know you need to head off and do your show. So check out Chris's show after you've checked out this. It doesn't matter if you're a bit late. Leicester Till I Die TV. What can people expect on that show? I've been on there before. It's a brilliant channel.
Yeah. We don't just do Leicester content. Sort of after this show tonight, we're doing a question time, which is just a debate show. We do a lot of interviews with ex-players. We've got Stan Collymore coming up in a couple of weeks.
Nice one.
Who's coming on. We had Pontus come out recently. There's a mix in there, and all fans are welcome. So
it's a brilliant channel. It's a brilliant channel. I've been on there a couple of times.
Be prepared for a bit of banter, because that's what it's all about, football. You have a bit of banter, but at the end you say, yeah, there you go, all the best. And, I hope it works out for you. Newcastle were the team that we all felt sorry for. You're not happy with your owners. It looks like they're never going to go anywhere. But, it's funny because it's very much, it's all... I can't think of the word, but if Leicester were Tottenham, it suddenly turned into Tottenham, and we're just getting fifth, sixth every year, we'd be happy. But of course, you've got a bigger history than us, as in winning things further back.
The other thing is, and we mentioned this last time you were on, you had your glowing period and you won something. We had our glowing period and didn't win anything, so we're still searching. So you can maybe kind of rest up a little bit, being that we finished that off. We didn't.
Some fans are very much like that. Well, we finished fifth for 2 years. We should be there now. Chairman out, manager out. So every club's got them. But look, good luck for the rest of the season, guys.
Simply A says that. Leicester
all the best.
Be fine for sixth. Thanks so much for coming on, Chris, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you as well, guys. All the best. Take care. Hope you feel better soon, Ian.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Chris. Make sure you check out Leicester Till I Die TV after the show is finished. A few comments from Conte's catch up here. The irony is we get outclassed by one player. All the fans want to sign James Maddison. 14 goal contributions already. Man is only back from injury for a month. When's the last time Levy signed a proven high-quality star on high wages? He's a genius, Maddison. We need him in our team. Just imagine him signing Kane and Son. And good point about Porro here. He's coming from a team that plays on the front foot. He's now having to adjust to a counter-attacking team. Got quite a lot of comments here. Let me whiz through them. Leicester are a good team, should be fighting for top six. Leicester also signed a 6'6" monster centre-back and another Danish centre-back, which is what we need. Who would start the season with an unsure defence. Ben Davies, Dier have been at the club for 10 seasons. Oh, my goodness. Any chairman with ambition would make sure about shoring up the defence with quality for the manager. There's something very wrong at Tottenham, and it stinks of Levy and Enoch. I mean, Conte did want Bastoni, but if the player doesn't want to go, the player doesn't want to go. So he had to deal with Lenglet alone. A couple more. Ben Davies, great servant, but we do need an upgrade. Don't mind him coming off the bench, but we need a higher grade. And two more. Much better defender than Dier. And good luck to Chris. That's Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV. Thanks for all the comments. Keep them coming in. Hit that like and subscribe as well.
I mean, I'm gobsmacked we haven't strengthened the defence. Absolutely gobsmacked.
Well, I have been reading we're after two centre-backs next in the summer, but that's fine. It's too late. It's all reactive, never proactive.
Well, I think this is the point. I mean, I did it. I mean, I'm embarrassed now because I'd like to think most of what I say has a reasonable amount of level-headedness and truism about it. I was on Tommy's show a couple of days before the transfer window shut. That's the one in the summer. And I said that I thought, this would be one of our transfer windows. There's going to be a lot of business done late because the Italian clubs are going to be looking to sign, to get rid of players to balance their books. And I thought, we'd probably get a midfield player, we'd get a right back and at least one central defender. We got none of it. None of it. And then again, the same thing. We weren't that badly off at right wing back. I mean, Porro was nice, although I didn't say that at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
Or 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely,
it's not what we needed, was it? A centre back, and
It was a luxury when we desperately needed to get better central defenders in. Particularly Dier and Davis were playing. Particularly Dier was playing a lot better last season. But since all the talk about the World Cup came up, his game has really, disappeared. And again, we would go back to where we started. But these goals where he sits, it's the same bloody goal. Yeah. And when a defender is making that same mistake time and time and time again, something needs to give. And all right, he wanted Bastoni. And there was a little bit in me that said, okay, if he didn't want to just blow the money on second and third choices. He wanted to save the money and buy the players he wanted. So we get Lenglet with no option, who's, in my view, inferior to Davis. Yeah, I don't think he's better than Davis.
He's tall, and that's probably about it. But
that's about it. I mean, certainly Davis, when he brings the ball out of defence, is far better than Lenglet.
We need a brand new goalkeeper. We need a brand new goalkeeper. At least one quality, not fairly good, quality proven central defender to play alongside Romero. We need some kind of creativity, and then if Kane leaves, then that chucks everything else up in the air as well.
But you talk about Poch coming back. If Poch comes back, he's going to want to play his 4-2-3-1. I don't know that he ever plays any differently. And
he'll bring Alfie Devine straight in. He's a creativity. Harvey White as well. He'll bring youth through. So it won't be proven winners. It won't be proven winners.
But we don't have a fullback. The Emerson is the only fullback now in the club.
Yeah.
The others are all wing backs. All of them. They're all wing backs.
It's just.
And Sessegnon is another one that needs to go. He's a wing back or even a left winger. The Destiny, the boy,
he'll come straight in. I'll be amazed if he is our first choice left. Yeah,
Perisic is a wing back. Spence is a wing back. Porro is a wing back.
Well, so Walker and Rose kind of played as wing backs, didn't they? But they had the license to do that because they had Dembele and Wanyama marshalling stuff up. So and they obviously had the engine.
What I'm saying is, are they good enough to play fullback? Orthodox right back.
Yeah,
orthodox left back, and then you need a creative midfield player. The thing about with Conte, and he has been, as any manager would, been allowed to change and shape the squad to their own liking. Someone's going to come in and say, I need 5 to stand still. I need 5 or 6 players. And one of the problems we've got is we've got £200 million worth of players out on loan. We've got £200 million worth of players out on loan that we do well to get 50 million for. I mean, we do really well to get 50 million for. So, when Levy in his statement last week talked about the quality of the recruitment, the recruitment has been atrocious.
Yeah. He said 500 million spent, didn't he? But when you consider Ndombele and Lo Celso was 20% of that.
Crazy. People, Conte's ketchup in the chat, it's Levy's fault. I don't see how this is Levy's fault. Levy wouldn't make those decisions. I think you can complain we got Ndombele when we didn't get the Bruno Fernandes deal over the line. And I think that's fair comment. But I don't think Levy knows anywhere near enough about football to know that there's a player knocking around in the French league who we're going to pay £60 million for, who's going to be a world beater. I don't think he'd have heard of Ndombele.
Well, I think we bought him because he was wanted by loads of teams, and we bought him so other teams didn't get him. But on Royal, Conte's catch up here. Good point, I think. I like Royal, wears his heart on his sleeve. He wants to do well. He's doing well now. He's the type of player I want at my club because he wants to be here.
I'll get that.
He continues to get better and that he succeeds, but we must remember that he's a fullback, not a right wing back, like you just said. Lenglet was third choice at Barca, hit the nail on the head. Davies much better. And Leicester, 3 new signings of quality, what Rodgers needed. We should see them climb the table. Simply Ace Emerson is the only fullback and he's rubbish.
He's not shit. I mean, he's
defensively,
he's my man of the match against City, Chris.
Defensively, he's far better, but we're playing in a system with Conte that you need attacking wing backs, and he's not. A few more comments. Daniel Levy's cheap transfer model is destroying us. We're left with a queue of average players we can't sell because Levy prices them too highly. We've never had a strong squad. There's always a weakness, which is not what wins league titles. 16-17 season, we had the best 1 to 11 in the league, bar none, in my opinion. The squad wasn't as good if injuries happen. Recruitment is so bad because the majority of signings are cheap, 15 to 25 million average players. Levy knows exactly what he's doing. We finished in the same position. I thought in the summer, they were free, these first two. Forster, Perisic, and then Basuma and Richarlison all bought in the space of about 2 weeks of each other. So I thought, right, okay, we've stopped all this pissing about and haggling over nonsense. And then comes Spence, and then Porro was 31 days, and that's the only person we signed. So no idea what's going on. I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit earlier, saying it's the fault of the collective. Conte's at fault for constantly playing the same. He famously said, didn't he? Like, losers find excuses, winners find solutions. And if you're doing the same thing over and over again and it's not working, that's not finding a solution. Yeah. Levy hasn't backed managers. Tries to sell players like Ndombele for the same amount that he bought him for when he's been absolutely terrible. Hit a loss on him. The players aren't performing. Not singling him out, but Dier was the proper weak link against Leicester, standing off, and just not proactive enough. Whether that's the manager, whether that's a chairman, whether it's both, and this constant chopping and changing of not just managers, different styles. It worked under Poch to an extent. Go and get another attacking manager. We get Jose Mourinho, one of the most offensive managers in the world. I think it's just a catalogue of errors by a lot of different people, and I don't really see where it ends, to be honest. But oh well, easy match next. AC Milan away from home. No Højbjerg, no Bentancur. We do have Romero back, so a couple of questions. If we'd have had Romero against Leicester, would it have been a different story? I don't think it would have been. And will he make that much difference against Milan, do you think?
So I'm just reading that comment in the
I'll read that
about Hitchin said Levy. Yeah, sorry, I know you've moved on.
Yeah. Was it Hitchin who said he destroyed his dream job?
Levy wanted to bring in cheap average players with potential. Well, maybe. Did Hitchin say that? I mean, I think one of the things...
I'm not sure. I thought it was Paul Mitchell who said he destroyed his dream job.
Who
was a scout who scouted Ali and Alderweireld and players like that. But
one of the things is, of course, when people, they got contracts of employment, and when they leave, they'll go with severance payments. And all these will be so absolutely wrapped up in confidentiality and non-disclosure.
Yeah, it was Mitchell. He's corrected himself.
You don't. Mitchell. When did Mitchell leave? 10 years ago? 12 years ago?
No, he got Dele Alli in, so it must have been about 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Well, Dele's been there a lot longer than that. Dele was with us. When did Dele start playing?
Oh yeah, 16.
Yeah, Dele was.
So maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Yeah, well, it's fairly recent, though.
Yeah, Bruno, Grealish, Dybala, and so much more. I mean, I don't know if Dybala was realistic, but certainly Bruno was. Grealish was.
Grealish was a disgrace.
It was a disgrace. There's no doubt about that.
And
that's not
my
defendable.
point is, when we sign a proven star and high wages, is his point. And
but I think that's right.
Yeah, AC Milan though, and he says if Scar and Sarr and Skip can't step up, we're in big trouble. I think we're in big trouble anyway. But will Romero make a massive difference? Would he have made a massive difference against Leicester? I'm not so sure.
It's all hypothetical. I mean, we can talk about the stupidity of his red card against Manchester City. Not least, actually, was his first yellow was just idiotic, and he's got to knock that out of his game, or Conte's got to knock that out of his game. But I don't think, I'd put it this way, I don't think we'd have got humped as badly as we did. That whole right side of our team with Tanganga and Porro was just ripped apart. Although having said that, the goals came from both sides. So
yeah, I mean, Conte's catch up here. We don't sign high quality. We sign players with potential to work out. But you might find one Dele Alli out of 10 signs. The reason that worked though is we had a scouting system who was scouting the players and the type of players that Pochettino wanted. I think Dele Alli was a box-to-box midfielder, capitalised on the space left by the Dembeles, the Ericssons, and what have you. And I think Pochettino was saying, I want a player that can ghost into the box and can finish. And then he went and scouted a player like that and within budget. And Alderweireld, I want a towering centre-back. I want a towering centre-back, a proper quality centre-back. He went and scouted one of those. Now, we don't really have a scouting system. We just buy players seemingly for the sake of it, and then sack the manager. We were playing with full backs under Jose, so we buy Emerson. 2 minutes later, we sack him and sign a manager who plays wing backs, and we've got a full back trying to be converted into a right back, and
I'm going to start banging my head against the wall.
Yeah. And in that Poch era, I know it was only 5 years, but we had some kind of stability there.
Yeah.
We had a manager who had a plan, had a way of playing, wanted players for that plan, and we had a scouting system that went out and scouted players and recommended the players who fit into that system in whatever position he said.
Absolutely.
We're just like all over the place at the moment, but yeah, AC Milan. How do you see that going? I've never been so pleased it's Valentine's Day in my life because it means I don't have to bloody.
So you can miss it.
Yeah, I don't have to watch it. I've never been so pleased because I think we could be on the end of an absolute thumping.
A week ago, like saying, we're in form. Milan are out of form. La-di-da. We can go there and get something. And I'm thinking, that would be good. Then we can get to the last 8. Who knows? And tomorrow, anything other than a gubbin and gives us a chance back at Tottenham it's on March the 15th. No, it's not. It's on March the 8th, isn't it? The second game.
Really?
I think it's on
3
March
weeks
the 8th.
apart?
Yeah, I think it's on March the 8th because I'm in Spain with the boys golfing.
Oh, I didn't realise it was that far apart.
Yeah, it's on March the 8th. It's 3 weeks, which who knows? We might have.
A lot can change in that time, can't it?
Well, who knows? I mean, we won't have any of our long-term injuries back, but But anyway, anything other than a heavy defeat tomorrow will be good.
Away goals don't count double now, do they? Away goals have been scrapped, which is
it's all scrapped. So.
But yeah, I mean, and then after that, West Ham at home, Chelsea at home. Yeah. I've got a real bad feeling. This is what Tottenham have done to me. I'm usually quite positive, but I can see West Ham, Chelsea can't buy wins. Come to Dr. Tottenham and yeah.
Yeah, I'm going on Sunday, Chris. I'm going to come down. So
yeah, well, I'm going to the Chelsea game, and that hasn't been happy hunting for me in recent seasons, including cups. But yeah, I've got a real horrible feeling. I think it was simply Ace said it earlier with Bentancur's injury. We're screwed. I think our season's pretty much over unless some miracle happens with the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I think we're just going to drop down and it's playing for Europa League or Conference League or whatever, and then.
I mean, having said that, we
can change. It can all change. 6 points out of those 2 games, you never know.
Yeah, different.
I don't have hope.
We had a lot of seasons. I mean, I'm going back to the 80s and 90s, where the season came to an end in January when we got knocked out the cup in the 3rd or 4th round. Now our season does seem to last a bit. But let's see the next 3 or 4 weeks with the cup tie at Sheffield and AC Milan. They're big games, but we're still fighting for 4th.
Yeah,
even at worst Europa.
Yeah, I mean history tells you.
At this moment in time, we're still in the Champions League and we're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. So it is depressing, but let's try and. Keep some semblance of calm. I mean, a midfield of Sarr, Skip, and Kane. I mean, that would work for me.
Yeah. I mean, he also says, Conte's catch up. Kane will have to drop deep. Always players create midfielder with Son up forward. I'd drop Son and put Richarlison up top. You mentioned him with Brazil. He plays much better for Brazil, and he's the striker. He's the man.
Agreed.
And I would try something completely, but. I think we both know that Conte ain't going to try anything. And he also goes on to say, Sarr understands how to play a system more and simply Ace. Milan are going to spank us. Look at our back line. Plus, we have a manager who can't be bothered. So it would be a Valentine's massacre for us, sadly. 4-0. Hope I'm wrong. They have a lot of injuries. Conte's Ketchup says they're rubbish at the moment as well. They are at home though, and but yeah, I'd drop Son. There's no doubt Son has been world class, and class is permanent, form is temporary.
Yeah,
but you need to find a way to get that form back. And I think against Leicester last time, the 6-2, he was furious that he'd been dropped, and he came out with a point to prove. Do that again. Drop him. Stick with Richarlison up top.
I would play Richarlison. I would absolutely play Richarlison.
I don't think he will. I think it will be the same team, just with Sarr and Skip in terms because
Mr. Stubborn never changes anything.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I just think. But yeah, Richarlison, he plays wonderfully. I think before the World Cup, he scored 8 in 8, and then he got 3 in the World Cup, including that unbelievable volley.
Yeah.
But yeah, and simply ace, unfortunately, echoes my sentiments in reply to Conte's Ketchup. I have no confidence with the way we're playing against any team. And I mean, it can all change. You know, if we win that game, we'll get a good result, beat West Ham, beat Chelsea. Completely different complexion. But it's a real opportunity after the City win to
kick on.
And especially with Newcastle dropping points.
Mm.
But anyway.
You just get depressed, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Bob Spurs said it on one of these shows a little while ago. What they've done is unforgivable, Tottenham, and it's just stopped my love for Tottenham, and I don't really care that much anymore. And it's I mean, good point by Conte's Ketchup. Brazil play beautiful football though, which does help Richarlison blossom. I mean, that is true. That is true. They have creative players there and play attacking football. But yeah, pretty much reached the end. Thanks to Chris as well, Leicester fan. 9 o'clock is when Leicester Till I Die TV goes on his channel. So make sure when you finish this, you hop over to Leicester Till I Die. Please hit the like and subscribe on here. Also the notification bell. I've got a little magic channel, little side hustle. Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. UK time. That's when the trick drops there. So check that out. Hit the like and subscribe. Ian, no channel for you, but as Kuva alluded to, when you find money at the back of your sofa, you pay
I pay someone to go on their stream. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's Ian's Twitter handle there, Shaggy1712. It's also in the description. So follow him on there and you'll be notified every time he's going on our channel. And yeah, simply Ace, a couple of comments here. Last 10 games of the season was a Conte team. That's as well. That's an interesting point, Ian. We were unbelievable last year, the last 10, 11 games of the season.
Crazy.
And all of a sudden, we were scoring goals for fun. Kane, Son, Kulu were the informed partnership in world football. All of a sudden, stopped. I don't understand. I just can't understand it. But yeah,
I don't know what's wrong. It did end of last. I really thought we would kick on. We'd spent some money in the summer. I really thought we would we would kick on, and we didn't. I don't know why they want us to go on another 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're enjoying the show so much. But we can't. I can't depress myself for another 20 minutes talking about it.
No, I'm going to slip my wrist if I'm on another 20 minutes.
But we were playing lesser teams, and Arsenal basically handed us top 4 on a plate. It's a good point. But, Leicester on paper were a lesser team. If we'd have, we were 1-0 up. Good cushion. They've got to come at us. You play on the counter. Then I just
and pick them off, and we didn't. But
we pretty much reached the end there. Leicester Till I Die TV. Make sure you check that out. That's Chris's channel, who's on the show. And thanks so much for Chris giving the Leicester perspective. Yeah. Thanks so much for Ian coming on. Always a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, pleasure being on, Chris.
Yeah. Hit the like, subscribe, notification bell on here, and then hop over to Chris's Magic tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. See a new trick, one that I've created myself as well. Quite pleased about that, but hopefully you like it as well if you watch it. But till next time. We'll be back on Friday, 7:30 p.m. Looking forward to the West Ham game and hoping I don't have to talk about a drubbing by Milan. So let's try and be positive as I can be. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thanks so much for watching. For everybody who joined in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, please hit that notification bell. That'll give you a notification every time we're about to go live, and it's all completely free. For those who missed the live show, you can catch this whenever you want on Let's Talk Tottenham's YouTube channel. Please also hit the like, subscribe and notification bell. And everybody, please leave feedback, comments, suggestions in the comments section on the YouTube videos. For Those of you who listen to the audio podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anyone who wants that audio podcast, you can pick that up wherever you get your podcast from. We're back Mondays 7:30pm UK time and Fridays 12:30pm UK time. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter @LTalkTottenham, Instagram Let's Talk Tottenham Podcast, you'll find all the information there. Anyone who wants something a little bit different, also do a magic show. So I do one trick a week, which drops Wednesday 7:30pm UK time. Chris's Magic on YouTube is where you'll find that. But in the meantime,